Ambassador, thank you again for speaking to us. Over the last few years, we've spoken a number of times about the war in Ukraine, which you've often referred to as the special operation in Ukraine. But I just want to, in this moment, get your assessment on the conflict, where it's at, and what Russia's position is in this moment.
You know that in the recent weeks, I have noticed that there is a huge campaign in British media and worldwide that tables are turned. Ukraine has get another strength. It's acquired a new might, that Russia has no sources to continue. The front line is frozen, no movement. All this is relevant to the situation of March, beginning of April. That is true. There was a certain freeze because of weather conditions, the smelting snow, spring roads, as we called it. Then there was a certain counter-attacks by Ukrainians, but now they are all repelled. And you will see that there is a beginning of the summer offensive. Front line is again moving towards west, from east towards west. The average gain per week is about 10 settlements, something like that, villages and settlements. And the campaign is getting more and more active.
I'm going to unpick some of the things you've said. You've talked about the fact that things were stalling because of the weather conditions. But in previous years, by May, June, as the weather changed, Russia did make many gains. But this year, for the first time since 2023, the Ukrainians have made gains. They are pushing back. And Russia hasn't moved as far forward as it has in previous years. What is this actually telling us about the situation on the ground?
Still about the situation on the ground. Please pick up news of today, of yesterday, but not dated from, as I say, March or April. Situation has changed. Yes, Ukrainians has got some square kilometers during their counteroffensive, but it is all repelled back right now. There is a movement, probably not that fast. It has happened last May, last June, and all of this. We have a war of drones. It is well known. Situation is changed every day. But what I can say is that there are new developments here. Of course, Ukraine is now getting drones from Western countries, which has now a production over there, quite a numbers, but still we have huge resources of drone productions. And in any event, we will dominate in this thing. What I also would like to say about that there is a new phase unfortunately, in this war, since Ukrainian troops have started to target civilian objects in Russia. Last night, they have targeted civilian bus, well, 7 killed, 11 wounded. The most striking case is, of course, this college in Starobelsk, where there were attacks by 16 Ukrainian drones in 4 waves. So they killed 21 youngsters and enormous of people. I guess more than 60 has been wounded. It is pure civilian issue. So we have to do something about that.
And you're denying that the Russians have been targeting civilians over the course of the last few years? I mean, the death toll of targeting of civilians over the month of April in Ukraine has been one of the highest since the conflict has begun. Hundreds of civilians have been killed. In fact, the drone attacks that are taking place across cities in Ukraine by Russia, targeting civilians, has gone up. Is that a tactic of terrorizing the civilian population because you are not moving forward on the front lines?
We do not terrorize at all. As all newspapers has published, we have a huge attack the day before yesterday on Kyiv and Dnipro. But how many civilians died? 6 of it. At the same time, we have destroyed.
The Ukrainian reports are saying something completely different.
In Kyiv.
Just in Kyiv, but across the country, over 80 civilians were killed, over 100 wounded.
Dnipro, but in Kyiv, we destroyed 10 military production facilities. 10. In Dnipro, 3 also military production facilities. And in the region of Kharkov, 201 major, they're huge. So we targeted it with ballistic missiles, but civilians losses are very small over there.
several hundred were killed over April, according to reports. But Ambassador, in previous years, we've never spoken about the scale in which the Ukrainians are targeting infrastructure deep inside Russia. This has also changed and frankly shifted in this war as well. The Ukrainians now have capabilities where they are targeting inside Russia. St. Petersburg was hit. We know that targets in Moscow were hit. Oil refineries continue to be targeted as well. So when you say things have shifted, you know, they have also shifted to the benefit of the Ukrainians in this conflict.
There is a huge difference because we do not intentionally targeting the civilians over there. As for Ukrainians, they do it intentionally. It is civilian infrastructure. What you
Ambassador,
oil refineries,
we've talked in the past about the number of civilians, and I've been in Ukraine where homes were hit in certain areas. I've gone deep
am
underground.
I interviewing you or you're interviewing me?
But I'm letting you know that when you say Russia doesn't intentionally kill civilians, several hundred were killed in April alone, the highest civilian target since this war began. And I have been in Ukraine where civilians have been killed.
No. Yeah, that's a tragedy. I'm sure that's a tragedy. And Ukraine can stop this war immediately if they will withdraw from the Russian regions over there.
Russia can also stop this war. I mean, in fact, President Putin on Victory Day last month said that this war is coming to an end.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Very simply, he has deciphered this later on and has said, given the situation on the ground, he believes that the war will come to an end pretty soon. We will, of course, prefer diplomatic and political means to achieve our goals, negotiation process and so on, and we will achieve it. But if this will not happen, then we have to achieve it by military means, unfortunately.
It is extraordinary, though, that you entered this war, describing it as a special military operation, 4.5 years on. It has turned into a sort of almost a meat grinder for Russians. Intelligence shows that between 15 and 20,000 Russians are being killed in this war, that you are struggling to recruit fighters. In fact, you've recruited fighters from countries like Yemen, for example, from African states. I mean, we've done investigations inside the country as well, where there are a number of foreign fighters being recruited because you can't recruit enough Russians to fight this war. Thousands of Russians are being killed inside Ukraine.
Neither I can dispute it or not. I have never heard about a Yemeni participating in it.
There was an extensive investigation by the FT, by the BBC as well.
There are no Koreans over there, used to be, so now they have withdrawn on it. But what do you say? In any case, resources of the Russian Federation are much bigger than of Ukraine. What we have met, this is a participation of all European states, not with many exceptions. I will say Slovakia, Hungary, and all of that. But we are now fighting, unfortunately, not against Ukraine, but we are fighting against mainly NATO resources over there. That includes that, of course, and I can only say it's poor Ukraine because it is losing people. NATO countries are losing resources, but Ukraine is losing people. It is well known that the population of Ukraine is right now 21, 22 millions, and before the war it was 48 millions. That's a difference.
Because you've driven thousands, millions out of the country because of the war.
Many of them are in Russia.
Is this a war against NATO, between Russia and NATO?
It's an existential war for us, not for NATO countries, because otherwise we have had a chance just to lose our influence, our country, our role in the world. It is for us an existential war. In fact, it is being done, yes, against NATO countries, probably without the United States. But initially, of course, the United States participated very actively in it.
the United States is still offering support to Ukraine, aid packages. President Zelensky has asked for more Patriots. They've asked for more support. Intelligence is there from the United States as well.
Exactly, you're absolutely right. So that it is just additional strength for the other side. It is anyway. So we cannot lose in it. We cannot lose this war. We simply have to win it. That is why we still continue to do it.
But what does winning now look like 4.5 years into this war?
No, it
thousands,
has been
tens of thousands of Russians killed.
It has been explained many times. I'm not speaking about how much has been killed or something like that, but it is, we have to liberate lands on which Russian population lives. It is just that Russians over there should live free and safe.
We are now seeing inside Russia not just drone attacks, refineries hit. We know that your naval fleet was hit as well by the Ukrainians several times. This war is impacting Russia in a bad way as well. In fact, its economy has contracted. Russia's economy is being impacted. And now there are senior Russian officials telling Vladimir Putin, your president, that he cannot continue to invest in this way and in the manner that he has in this war.
I cannot deny that the war cost a lot, and this year we have a certain very low percentage of growth. It is, well, in comparison with UK growth, it is quite the same, I will say. But altogether in 3 years, it was 10% of growth of GDP. Ukraine has put strikes on our refineries quite a lot, on our exportation facilities. Tonight, St. Petersburg, Ust-Luga, Novorossiysk, and the others, but we learned how to reestablish it, how to make it back. And I say exportation of oil in May has exceeded exportation of April, March, January, and so forth. So it's the biggest exportation, by the way.
Why?
Because we learned how to deal with that.
Or was it the war in Iran, which then put pressure on them?
Exportation from Russia of oil to the other countries, it has nothing to do with Iran.
But
we learn how to re-establish facilities that has been damaged by Ukrainian drones.
But we've also seen sanctions, for example, by the UK eased on third countries getting those supplies from Russia because of the pressure that the international community is facing as a result of the Iran war. So that has helped Russia.
UK sanctions has been announced. I wouldn't say that they have changed anything in our policy at all. We hardly notice, of course, what they are doing. Yes, there are sanctions, and there is an effect of these sanctions, a cumulative effect on it. But we still deal with that. We are not ruined. The economy is not ruined. It's very far from it. It is. We still have it. It is in place. We are inventing new ways of production of weapons. It is no doubt. We have human resources. Why do we recruit some people from India and all of that? It is not mainly, it is for work, because Russian territory is very big, so we need more people, of course. It has been established, well, very many years ago, and if there are countries which would like to supply us with workforce, of course it is a positive thing, it is for us.
But as you say, the Russian economy, there was actual growth in previous years, and you were making gains on the battlefield. But you have to admit that things have shifted with the economy and with your gains on the battlefield.
Well, I haven't said it before. It is nothing new in it, of course. War costs quite a lot of money, and we have to get this money, so to supply it, to continue, yes. And but as I have said, it's just a repetition. But the economy is not failed. It is continuing to do. Well, we have, of course, dealing with money now. The central bank is lowering the level of borrowing. Inflation is it is not high. So inflation
is high. Taxes have increased.
Inflation is 6%.
People are being impacted directly as a result of this war, and they don't understand what it is for anymore. The Russian population.
I think that the population purely absolutely understand what it is for. It is not for territories. It is for people. It is for people that speak Russian, live Russian, understand Russian, and do not live together with Ukrainian current government, which now just what they are doing. It is Ukrainian National Army that has that was cooperating with Nazi Germany during the war. So now these are gods of Ukraine. They are rebirthing them. They have taken one from Luxembourg and they're burying it in the national monument. They do not want to associate with that. It is.
Are you surprised, though, with how enterprising the Ukrainians have been, whether it was drone production within their own country, the fact that they're able to target deep within Russia as well? Has that surprised Russia, the Russian government, your leadership?
It's a means, it's a new mean, of course, new instrument in just outsourcing production to various countries, including United Kingdom, Denmark, what else, Canada, and others. This kind of outsourcing, it is just make vulnerable these countries. So at some point, if they continue to do this, so we have to find some countermeasures. I'm not speaking about which, but we know the addresses. We have published it publicly, and it will be easy targets.
When you say countermeasures against these Western European countries, I am
not going to decipher this, but believe me, we will find ways in case it will be needed. At the moment, there is no need in it, but they can be taken.
Does that include the UK?
Why not, of course. If Ukraine is supplying Ukrainian army with armament, yes, it will be including UK.
Is that a warning, a threat?
Nothing it is. It is just, we are on different sides of this story with the United Kingdom. United Kingdom is doing everything to destroy, as they say, to make a strategic defeat of Russia. We know about that. By supplying Ukraine with armament, with money, with armament on the one hand. On the other hand, it is accepting new sanctions, new pressure on Russia, everything. Third, it is undermining negotiations that were in place with participation of Americans, of President Trump and all of that. So three things, it is not, of course, a contribution to our, it is not even unfriendly, it is adversarial.
Because the view is that Russia started this war, it is the aggressor, and Ukraine has been left vulnerable. And frankly, as you say, the fact is that Russia is fighting this war against NATO as well. It might not be in NATO territory, although we are seeing...
NATO is an organization. NATO itself, it has only three, it is called a long-distance surveillance, 3 or 5 at the moment, aircrafts. There is nothing, no facilities. But NATO is consisted of the Secretariat and countries. NATO countries are fighting against us. That is true. And we hear very militaristic, belligerent voices. For instance, one of NATO, let's say NATO Baltic foreign ministers say, let's attack Kaliningrad recently. Let's destroy everything in Kaliningrad, especially ABM system and all of that. How we can react? Yes, of course, our militaries will be, people will be prepared for this kind of endeavors.
European countries are now talking about negotiations, mediation with the Russians. Where does that leave the UK in those conversations? Because you have, talked a lot, even in the past, about the UK's role in its support with Ukraine. How does Russia view the UK's role when it comes to these sorts of negotiations, mediation with Europeans?
European countries are talking about something, we know that, but we do not see any preparedness for serious negotiation. On our side, we, for dialogue, always ready, but as I have already mentioned, European countries are supplying and reinforcing, doing everything to reinforce Ukraine in this fight. It means for continuation of fighting. they press, increasing pressure on Russia by sanctions, by all other means all the time, and they do not want Americans negotiating with us, because whatever position Americans are taking, it is undermined by European countries. So we do not see that there is a real desire. On the other hand, I have seen that the whole idea of negotiations is to put red lines. It has been said by the European Union leadership that just to make a position what do not bring into the negotiations, what do not to allow Russia to do. This is not negotiations.
Well, Donald Trump has also expressed frustration with Vladimir Putin, with the Russians, for not negotiating in good faith, when he has attempted for the last year or so to bring not even bring the Ukrainians, frankly, to the table, which has been very frustrating for the Ukrainians, but to talk directly with President Putin. And frankly, the feeling has been that it's actually the Russians who are not approaching this with good faith or wanting this conflict to be resolved.
The attempt by President Trump in this field was very modest. Just one meeting with President Putin, some mediating efforts, and he switched to the other things at all completely. I wouldn't say that we do have contacts with Americans. There are special channels for it, and we continue an exchange. But at the moment, he is completely dealing with Iran issue, because I would say that there is different dimension of this conflict. Iranian conflict and the Middle East is a worldwide situation. And this is a pure European issue, what we do have with Ukraine.
With the war in Iran, will Russia continue to provide support to the Iranian regime? To, what is Russia's position in terms of where things stand with Iran at the moment? We know that Vladimir Putin, for example, has spoken on the phone with Donald Trump in the past about this. He's also, does he speak all the time to Donald Trump?
About Iran, we are in contact with Americans. The issue is that this is talks between Iran and the United States. We are not part of this conversation and integral part of this conversation, and we do not want to integrate into this conversation. But whatever compromise will be found, we will be supportive if it will lead to a long-term peace over there and stability. We can play a major contribution, a major role in facilitation. In 2015, when the agreement with Iran has been reached, we offered our services, and it is played crucial over their importance to achieve final negotiations. At the moment, the main issue is, again, nuclear enrichment over there. One has to proceed from the basic understanding that it is absolutely basic right of every non-proliferation treaty member to enrich uranium in peaceful purposes, also for the energy, and Iran has it. If Iran will decide voluntarily, as a gesture of goodwill, to limit his own right in enrichment of uranium, and it will play positive role in the negotiations, it is up to him. But we, of course, welcome any kind of compromise, any kind of gesture and position that is going to lead to a normalization of relations, long-term normalization of the situation over there.
Given the Trump administration's role and the fact that this war was started, and now there are attempts to negotiate some kind of agreement, do you trust Donald Trump will be able to resolve the conflict between Ukraine and Russia?
It's not to me to judge about the conflict over there. There are different ways, different views of the final situation over there. One is that Ukraine may be part of NATO and European Union. It's fantasy. It's not going to happen.
That's your red line and continues to be your red line.
Not about European Union, but about NATO, of course it is. But as far as I see, the attitudes by different countries in the European Union, so they are very skeptical about that. But we are not influencing it at all. The second option, that to preserve Ukraine like an instrument against Russia all the time, but it cannot be forever. It is. It is. And a third option, which is much more practical and serious in this endeavor, it is just overall settlement, European, a new deal between Europe and Russia about European security, where Ukraine will have ties over here and over there and will be normal, neutral. According to its constitution, it is still a neutral state, by the way. Constitution is valid over there.
That's what victory looks like for Russia.
I'm just trying to depict it, trying to talk about the future, about possibilities. And as for victory, it has different definitions.
And you think that Russia can rebuild its relationship with the UK?
In a distant future, perhaps, but not with this government.
Ambassador, thank you for your time.